What's going on? Thank you for joining us. BeerGenius.net. I have a couple special guests today. Louis French, who you've seen before, and Ryan Schwarzenberger. We have Boulevard's new beer. It is Boss Tom's Bock. Boss Tom's Golden Bock. And you'll know Bock is a sort of a traditional German-style beer. Really good late spring. Boulevard will be inserting this as their late seasonal, right after Irish Ale and right in between Zone, which is their summer. It's a bit more of a wit beer, more than a Hefeweizen. You got a lot of coriander in there.
It's light summer beer.
Light summer beer. This goes right in between those two because for some reason people have it in their heads that after St. Patrick's Day passes, Irish Ale is expired. I don't know why that is, but Boulevard decided to do something about it. There's an available slot, and now we have Boss Tom's Bock. Some of you guys may recognize Boss Tom's Bock as the My Bock from last year. That was around the Kansas City area, only on draft. Personally, I didn't care for it. I'm anxious to see how they have changed the recipe this year.
So this takes place with the Maibach.
This takes place with the Maibach. I don't believe they'll be releasing it. They could release this on draft. That's a possibility. It has been rebranded as Boss Tom's Bock. And Boss Tom obviously refers to Tom Pendergast, who was one of the Kansas City political bosses in the early 1900s. Totally corrupt guy that got a whole bunch of shit done.
Well, he
got
some
some
he was
shit
responsible for a lot of the beer during Prohibition as well.
He certainly was.
He probably had his hand in that pie too.
And we respect him for that reason.
Absolutely.
Exactly.
Absolutely. And so does Boulevard, apparently. So let's break this sucker open and get going and see what we think about it. Boulevard has screw tops. That's really nice. I like that.
As long as it's not the Pilsner or the aluminum bottle wheat.
Which are not screw tops, and your hand will let you know if you try. So, anyway, so it pours. Let's look at this color, guys. See what we think. It's definitely a golden Bock. It's very clear. It almost looks like a heavy body Pilsner to me.
And not much carbonation.
No.
Well, not a whole lot of head at all. I'm not seeing a whole lot of bubbles underneath, so carbonation levels maybe a little low, which that's pretty typical of Bock beers, as I understand. This beer clocks in at 6.1% alcohol. Not real bitter at 22 IBU. It's right in between, about the same level as most mainstream beers, really. It's not bitter at all. Certainly not anywhere close to the level of an IPA. What are we getting on the nose here, guys? I'm getting a whole bunch of malt, pale malt.
It doesn't really stand out to me.
Doesn't stand out to me either.
But
totally does not stand out to me. Almost kind of boring. Maybe a lemongrass a little bit if I'm feeling generous.
A little bit of a lemony kind of citrus.
If I'm feeling generous, I'll give it that.
Yeah, not too much. Just a slight hint of it.
That's actually just a little bit more than a light beer, really. I mean, it's got some smell to it, but it's not. It's very, very light.
Right. And drinking this out of a pint glass, I can't imagine you'd taste a whole lot at all, to be honest with you.
Well, I'm sure it's better out of the bottle. That way...
Could be. Could be nice out of a bottle, especially in a hot summer day.
Yeah.
Let's give this a taste and see what we think. Prost.
Cheers.
Got an earthiness to it. Feeling the pale malt, most definitely. Just the slightest bitterness, really. There's not a whole lot that I'm pulling off of it. It's terribly refreshing.
It's got a smooth characteristic. That's what I would say.
It's got a smooth characteristic to it.
I would drink this on a hot summer day. Sure.
Absolutely. As a session beer, not my favorite.
It's kind of subtle. I mean, I don't think there's a whole lot to it. But for like a summer beer, I don't know if you don't want a whole lot of heavy taste, or at least I don't. I want something halfway crisp.
Totally not. Absolutely.
It's definitely crisp. I mean, in that initial pour onto your taste buds, you can certainly taste it, and then it just kind of dissipates. And I think that's appropriate for a summer beer.
Sure. You know, there are a lot of ingredients in this beer, and you can taste it when you're going into it. It's real malt heavy, but not like in the way you would think of a brown ale or even an amber, really. I mean, this is pure pale malt. It really is. And it's got a slight bitterness to sort of balance it out. I don't find it that interesting, to be honest with you. It's not really doing anything for me. I'm not sure I'd buy it for a friend. It's not a bad beer. I mean, I haven't thrown it back at the camera yet, which I'm going to do at some point. Just wait. So maybe I should have done that with PBR, speaking of which.
We've got one.
We were drinking some PBR earlier. It was
we've got one.
pretty quality stuff. So anyway, rating, what do you think? 1 to 100.
1 to 100, maybe an 84 for me. It's just it's a summer beer. It's something that you would just drink on a summer day if you were so inclined, and that's really it. It's simple, relatively understated, I think, but not understated in the sense that, you know, it sneaks up on you. It's just there.
Certainly. Louis, what do you think?
As an overall beer, I think I'd give it a 75. I don't think I'd order this on a patio. I don't think I'd order this in a bar. But if I was putting together a cooler for either tailgating or a softball game, I think I could put this in there. I mean, I think that's something that everybody could appreciate pulling out of a cooler. Guys, gals, beer connoisseurs, high school kids.
Alike. Nobody's going to complain.
It's not going to offend anyone.
I don't think that's a good thing necessarily. Well, that is not going to offend anyone.
No, but
the measure of a good beer isn't how offensive it is to people, obviously. But
if your choice, if you're putting together a cooler, I mean, sometimes if you don't know the group that you're going in with, everybody grabs Miller Lite, Bud Light, something like that doesn't offend because it doesn't have taste. This has taste, but I don't think it will offend.
Well, I think it goes without saying the same thing for Shiner Bock. People would recognize Shiner Bock and they'll drink it. But totally. I don't think anybody's gonna go out and order it at a bar or a patio bar.
You may have some diehard Shiner fans who might.
Well, the same thing can apply to this. The same kind of mentality, I suppose. It's a Boulevard beer. People who love Boulevard will enjoy this beer for what it gives them. It gives them an alternative to Shiner Bock or a much more pleasant summer beer. I think last summer Boulevard's Pilsner did the same thing, and
awesome
I think this
beer.
is
really well done.
Very well done, and I think the brand recognition is going to help this beer a lot, especially with the diehard crowd.
Especially within Boulevard's immediate distribution area. They have become really legendary on that, and with their Boulevard Wheat and their Pale Ale, obviously. And their Smokestack series, which we've done a whole lot of here on BeerGenius. So I've started to incorporate something new. Slam rating.
Slam rating?
The Metal Man on YouTube is a character. I'll link you to him right there. Check it out. We have given this beer a rating. Actually, you guys have. You're at an 83. 83. You're at a 75. I'm going to plug it right at a 78. 78 out of 100 for BeerGenius. It's kind of right in the middle. We'll split the difference there.
Fair enough.
It's fine. So let's do a slam rating and see how much better we like it when we slam it. Right. Throw it in a beer bong, do some beer pong, whatever.
Cheers.
Prost.
A good summer game.
Slam rating feels like a Budweiser to me.
Slam rating feels much more pleasant than just sipping and waiting for it to do something.
It does. Just let it hit you and be done with it.
Yeah.
It almost had more taste slamming it than it did sipping it.
I think so too.
Well, and sipping on it, I think it just hit the front of my tongue rather than the entirety of my mouth.
Well, it hit the full power, which I liked.
You get the full power of it, yeah.
Absolutely. I'm going to revise a little higher, go for an 84 out of 100 on the slam rating.
I would go up to 87 for me.
For the slam rating?
For the slam rating, yes.
I'll go up to about 80. I think for like a slamming it, I want something a little bit more crisp on slamming.
Sure. Something a little smoother for me, maybe, on slamming. But I'm going to go to an 83, 84 for a slam rating. So, thank you for watching. This is Boss Tom's Bock, Boulevard Brewing Company in Kansas City. I've got Louis French and Ryan Schwarzenberger with me. Very pleasure to have them. And thank you for watching. We'll see you soon. Prost.
Prost.
Cheers.